In my last two videos, I've been exploring this book, The Selfless Mind by Peter Harvey. I read his section on Bhavanga Citta, and then I read the section on the Shining Citta, and now, to finish off this little series, I'm going to read what he says about the connection. The equation of Bhavanga with the Radiant Citta is directly asserted in the commentaries, and is also implicit in a relatively late portion of the Milinda Panha, which applies metaphors of radiance to Bhavanga. This is seen from two similes it uses to illustrate the state of dreamless sleep, which is an uninterrupted stream of Bhavanga. 1. The radiance, Pabha, and rays, which are Citta, of the sun, which is the mortal body, always exist, but may be obscured by fog, which is drowsiness, so that there is no light, which is the functioning of Citta. So if fog is drowsiness, then clarity is waking up. 2. When there is dense darkness, or drowsiness, and there is no illumination, apabhase, no shadow is seen, even of a well-burnished mirror, the mortal body, for light, Citta, is lacking. It reminds me of Huinang, that story. These similes indicate that while the normal functioning of Citta is like light, which may get cut off, the Bhavanga Citta of dreamless sleep has a radiance which exists whether or not it is obscured. How then is Bhavanga related to the radiant Citta free of defilements? When the mind is still in jhana, there is said to be a series of Javana Cittas, with no Bhavanga Cittas intervening. To develop the higher knowledges, however, jhana must be left, so that there is again Bhavanga before adverting to an appropriate object, like giving attention to. During the course of experiencing the first 5 higher knowledges, jhavana lasts for only a single moment in each perceptual cycle. This compares to the 7 moments in normal consciousness, before being followed by Bhavanga. I've been sharing these charts Peter Harvey provides us with to conceptualize what's going on. See the bottom is Bhavanga, and then there's some advertence to some dream object. The mind, step by step, is brought toward awareness of an object, and then it returns for another type of awareness. So back to where we were. Where'd we go? We'll start. During the course of experiencing the first 5 higher knowledges, jhavana lasts for only a single moment in each perceptual cycle. This compares to the 7 moments in normal consciousness, before being followed by Bhavanga. There is thus an extremely rapid alternation between Bhavanga and jhavana. This feature of the later theory accords with the Anguttara Nikaya 1.10 description of the developed Citta as supremely quick to change. The commentarial view of the undefiled state of the radiant Citta is, then, that it is one where there is a very rapid flickering between the radiant Citta, i.e. Bhavanga, and undefiled moments of jhavana. Jhavana is the karmically active state in which defilements arrive, like visitors arriving at a house. And these are references to suttas I'm not reading, or commentary. The Bhavanga state, which precedes Javana, however, is naturally pure and undefiled. The Sutta at Anguttara Nikaya 1, 10, and 11 is also given a very plausible interpretation in terms of the theory of Bhavanga and the process of Chittas. After referring to the Radiant Citta and recommending the practice of loving kindness, it says, "Monks, whatever states are unwholesome, have a part in unwholesomeness, are on the side of unwholesomeness, all those have conception as their forerunner. Mano pupangama. Gama. I'm learning. Conception arises first, the unwholesome processes after. There is then a parallel passage on wholesome states. The sutta then ends by saying that heedlessness, pamado, lack of mindfulness, and indolence, kosajam, jung, have the greatest power to lead to unwholesome states and undermine wholesome ones, while heedfulness does the opposite. The quoted portion is close to the famous opening verse of the Dhammapada. Conception is the forerunner of all processes. Dhamma. Conception is chief. They are made by conception. The later theory makes sense of such passages as follows. After Bhavanga comes adverting conception element. After a Bhavanga comes adverting conception element. If the adverting is done in a heedless, negligent way, with unmethodical attention, then unwholesome states will arise at Javana. Accordingly, Patana 1:449 says that advertence is without stains, asankalita, but staining. And that some other text says, when adverting and determining are done wisely and methodically, Javana is unlikely to be unwholesome. So, when we guard the sense doors. This shows that the way the mind adverts to or attends to objects at the very start of a perceptual process is the key to whether unwholesome or wholesome states will follow. Indeed, the term for attention, manasikara, literally means work of mano vijnana, activity of conception. And from paragraph, 147, it is apparent that the early suttas saw the I am conceit, a crucial defilement, as arising once conception is touched by feeling, born of stimulation by spiritual ignorance. While the shining Bhavanga is naturally pure, advertence is morally neutral, but can tip the balance either to the wholesome or unwholesome. Typo. Thus, the sutta's constant emphasis on methodical or systematic attention, yonisa manasikara, and the avoidance of its opposite. Unmethodical attention refers to such things as latching on the attractive or unpleasant features of things, thus giving rise to sense desire or ill will, attraction or aversion, the first two hindrances. Some text makes clear that unmethodical attention triggers a series of states: lack of mindfulness in clear comprehension, non-restraint of the sense faculties, being uncircumspect about how one responds to sense objects, leads to misconduct of body, speech, and mind, which leads to the five hindrances, which leads to spiritual ignorance. That is, once conception attends to things in inappropriate ways, a train of unwholesome results is set in motion. Anguttara Nikaya 1:11 also emphasizes indolence as a key factor in the arising of unwholesome states. Closely related to this is dullness and drowsiness. Tina Midha, the third hindrance. The Milinda Panha passage on the radiant Bhavanga sees the onset of drowsiness as the shrouding and enveloping of the mental body, a weakness, a stupidity, an unworkableness of the mental body. The Abhidhamma sees drowsiness as indisposition, unworkableness, a shrouding, an enveloping, a barricading within the mental body, sleep. With the commentaries seeing this body, kaya, as feeling, cognition, and the constructing activities. Drowsiness thus makes the accompaniments of citta sluggish, weak, and unworkable, though the radiant citta still remains. Dullness, on the other hand, is a quality of citta, being its indisposition, unworkability, stickiness, a stiffening, a rigidity of citta. Among the defilements of citta, dullness and drowsiness is the one which most hinders the suspension of the other defilements, thus preventing the radiance of the brightly shining citta pervading the whole mind. This is seen from the fact that the contemplation which overcomes this hindrance, the cognition of light, leads to a state where, with an open citta, which is not overgrown, one develops a radiant sapabhasam citta, a state which is also conducive to knowledge and vision. It is by developing such a bright, open citta, moreover, that the bases of success, iddhipadas, are developed, which thus enable a person to experience the higher knowledges, preparation for which frees the citta of defilements. The way to prevent the purity and radiance of Bhavanga from being defiled at Javana, then, is to have heedful, methodical attention, which is wide awake and free from dullness and drowsiness. And if you look across the internet, look on these groups where people talk, you'll find a lot of people saying the exact opposite, being like, just don't think about anything, dude. But that usually doesn't make a lot of sense. The emphasis on overcoming sleepiness is particularly appropriate, for the mind functions in a parallel way in dreaming and in experiencing the higher knowledges, when the citta is free of defilements. In both cases, there is a very rapid alternation between Bhavanga and Javana, the mind being quick to change in both. The difference lies in the fact that, in dreaming, wholesome cittas are confused, due to the debilitating effect of dullness and drowsiness. In the higher knowledges, the full radiance of Bhavanga is uncovered, and can empower the Javana cittas with the ability to develop paranormal powers. The theory of Bhavanga in the process of cittas, then, dovetails well with the early sutta material on the brightly shining citta. Bhavanga is the mind's naturally pure state, but one which is normally inaccessible, as it mainly occurs during deep sleep. To unlock the power of this natural purity, the mind must be fully woken up by meditative development so that its radiant potential may be fully activated. Like Amitabha Buddha, infinite radiant light. Namo Ayida Phak.